Good morning, Adrian. I am so excited that we are finally together in the same place.
It's feels surreal, and I'm so happy to actually meet you, dear Suzanne. This has been a long time coming, and I cannot wait to embark on this journey with you.
It's definitely new
Yeah.
and wonderful, and I'm so grateful, really, for the opportunity to work together and to contribute to couples together.
No, I'm the one that feels grateful, and I see you as a friend, but also as a mentor and someone that has helped me to really make sure that I live according to my values and actually support people based on foundational principles that are everlasting and that are very practical
and close to your heart.
And close to my heart. That's right. So you've been doing this for quite a long time.
I have.
Actually, right?
I have.
How long have you been in this space?
About 21 years now,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite astounding to me. I used to change jobs about every 3 months or 9 months because I was looking for a challenge. And this work has become my life passion.
So when we say this work, we're talking about supporting couples, helping people thrive in their marriages and in their relationships. So what inspired you to get into this line of work?
Well, that's a bit of a life story. So I was married in a very difficult marriage, came out of it divorced, and married again. And it looked like it was going to be a very happy marriage, and it turned out actually to be a very happy marriage. But what happened in the first few months that we were married was we were asked to create a marriage preparation class for a group of youth. And so we started to put together some materials. We thought, all right, this was fun, this was interesting. And then we had close friends who separated after 3 months of marriage, and then other close friends who separated and headed into divorce after 9 months of marriage, and then other friends who lasted 4 years and started to head into divorce. At the time, I was writing stories for Newsweek, business stories for Newsweek. I had left British Petroleum, totally different profession, and started to have conversations about what could we do to make a difference? Why were our friends in such difficulty? My late husband was at the time doing business sales, nothing to do with relationships and marriages. But we really thought there was something we could do to contribute. And so we created a book, a marriage preparation book, to help people. And it sold so many copies and so fast, we realized we were onto something, and I started doing this work full time.
So that was 21 years ago.
21 years ago.
And how many books have you written since in this space of marriage and relationships?
Somewhere around 32.
That's incredible. What a rich experience.
Indeed.
And for me, I also fell into this. This was never the plan. I was in the field of sports management, actually.
Very different.
I got a master's in this space, and one thing led to another. I found myself helping couples who were going through breakups and separations, and I found myself actually loving the work, seeing friends, individuals be able to put their ego, to check their ego at the door and actually commit to bettering themselves with the goal of nurturing healthy love was very inspiring. And so I started this work around 2014 more formally. But the truth is, ever since I was growing up, all my friends came to me for relationship advice. Right? I didn't realize
wired for this.
I didn't realize at the time that it would become a passion and really a calling. But I felt like I was always drawn, even from the middle school ages, high school ages. I was just reflecting with a friend this past weekend that this friend reminded me that I guided him throughout his life with his work. But ultimately, a pivot happened over the last few years. I found that I did no longer wanted to just help couples who were already separated or going through a crisis. And I wanted to really provide tools for individuals and couples to learn to nurture healthy love and to no longer argue, to avoid conflicts, because it became clear to me that beyond just the health and balance of a couple or a family, actually, those relationships are at the foundation of a healthy community life. And once a couple is able to have the right tools to make decisions together in harmony, that has a ripple effect that slowly starts to not only transform their lives, but also the lives of those around them. And so really, I found inspiration in being able to contribute, even if it's in a very humble way, to bettering the world, one relationship at a time. And last summer, I was facilitating a seminar course for university students, and which had nothing to do with relationships specifically. And I found that those young people kept flocking to me, asking relationship questions and advice. And so that really, in that moment, it really helped me to realize, you know what, this is something that I meant to do. And I really want to learn more about doing that. And that's when the idea of working together really became more real for me. And so I'm so grateful that we get to continue to learn together, to support others, to support people with their relationship challenges.
And I think part of the passion for both of us is prevention. If we see couples who are already in deep trouble, the effort to remediate that is really intensive. And if we can intervene earlier and help people to build skills earlier so that they don't have to get all the way into deep trouble, they can actually have strong and happy relationships along the way, then that's really important. And I agree with you. The effort that we have made to put together tools and information and materials to support couples to have conversations that are productive, that help people to build unity, that help people to build understanding between each other is just extraordinary.
Right.
And I can see that it brings happiness and joy to us as we illuminate all of these things that are helpful for couples. And that translates to the couples. It helps them to be happier. It helps them to see ways to communicate with each other that don't harm each other, that don't hurt each other, that actually put them in alignment with where they really want to be.
Sure. You know, as I was listening to you, it reminded me of, in my own relationship, in my own marriage with Nina, that you haven't met yet, but that you will soon meet, hopefully in the next few days, that prevention was never something that I thought about. Just got married, and then build a plane while flying it, you figure it out. And then you quickly realize that there are certain dynamics that you're not prepared for, that you're not equipped for, that you simply don't have the tools to handle. And our marriage also went through tough times, especially after our firstborn, our daughter was born. It just puts a different stress. It's just a different reality that you enter together. And so I never sought that prevention support that would have definitely helped us in those years. But when we were able to learn how to be able to effectively communicate with one another, how to truly listen to understand, how to not see each other as adversaries, it changed everything in our marriage. It really did. And it helped me to understand that, beyond simple, communication tools and tips, there is a constellation of elements that couples need to learn about in order to thrive. And in our attitudes, in the qualities of our hearts that we manifest towards one another, and in our genuine desire to be able to be on the same team and not, at each other all the time. And so that growth, that learning, and that transformation really helped to cement this notion that, there's a huge need in the world. Everyone that I know is going through some level of challenges in their relationships, in their marriages. And I believe we have a unique perspective to offer. And so that's why I'm so excited, because one, I've experienced the fruit of this transformation myself in my own marriage. And also because I think that we are going to be able to offer something that's a fresh perspective on how to approach marriage and unity. And so I'm so grateful to be able to do this.
What's powerful in what you said was the word teammates, because being on the same team, because as we help couples to be teammates, to be partners, to be friends with each other, they are supportive of each other, and they are working together to create what they want to create. And it's that unity and that partnership between the two of them, where they are not unequal, where they are not dominating each other, where they are actually communicating heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul, that it creates amazing outcomes. And I find in my marriage with Phil that this process of Accordia has become extraordinary. There is such a lovely flow then in our communications, where we can raise anything that's on our minds and hearts. We can share what we're concerned about, what our fears are, what's being triggered from our past in the way of some difficult memory that's affecting the dynamic between the two of us. We can actually explore what it is that's on our minds, on our hearts, on our souls, and share with each other what's going on, and agree together on where it is that we want to go next. And having that in our marriage is extraordinary. It just contributes such a wonderful spirit then to the dynamic between the two of us.
Thank you for sharing this. Can you elaborate a little bit? Because many people feel that what you're describing is actually not possible. It's like utopic. How did you even get to that point? Can you share a little bit about the journey, or perhaps an experience from your, this marriage that you had, or perhaps from the past, that helped you to learn to be able to create those conditions and that dynamic for love to be able to flourish in that way without conflict?
Some of it definitely comes from our histories, where he and I both experienced high conflict points in a previous marriage. So we learned, what does it feel like when your stomach gets totally torn up, when you feel disconnected from each other, what it's like to be out of harmony with a partner. And we were committed then, going into this marriage, to find ways to create something new and to create something that didn't trigger all of those negative emotions. On our third date, I was getting ready to speak at a conference about this process of how couples can work together in harmony. And I thought, all right, this is a great way for me to figure out, can he do this with me? Can we be partners with this? So I invited him to be my practice audience and on our third date to listen to my presentation about this process.
How cool.
And he got so excited. It was like this is exactly what I'm looking for in a marriage partnership. And so we started really studying the tools together and the principles together and started practicing. We began with one of the really tough topics of money before we got married. And we sat and we looked at what are our values? What are the principles that apply to us making a decision about money?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that we are willing to sacrifice? What is it that's important to us if we want to donate money somewhere? And went through that whole process together to learn, could we do this?
Yep.
Could we have these difficult conversations together in harmony? And we were able to do so. And the decisions that we made at that time before we got married now still guide us as we make decisions about money and marriage.
So beautiful. You see, Nina and I didn't have that foresight. Things just kind of happened, and then we were left to figure it out on the fly. But there's been beauty in that process too, and I think that many people actually kind of fall in love, build a life together, and then try to figure those things out afterwards. And it's more complicated. But for me, a turning point, I think, in our marriage was, for a long time, I, maybe consciously or subconsciously, was trying to change my wife into fitting perhaps a set of habits or cultural backgrounds or values that I grew up with that helped to serve as a foundation for my well-being.
Right.
And I saw some things that I felt if only she could not do those things, how she would be so much happier. I would be so much happier. And somewhere along the lines, by the grace of God, I stopped trying to change my partner. I started not only not trying to change her, but also focusing on what she does well and the things that I'm grateful for. Mm-hmm. And the moment that my perspective changed, actually answers came. Through therapy, I realized, okay, my partner has ADHD. And so there are certain things around the home that are easy for me to do that are not so easy for her, right? Because her brain is wired in a different way. And that felt like a confirmation of our efforts. And it really, instead of looking at things from a place of judgment, I was now able to see things through the eyes of compassion and empathy. And it changed everything. And it helped me to also now, based on my practical experience, connect with couples and help them to let go of trying to change your partner and start to truly work as a team, to be able to lean on each other's strengths and to help each other flourish and grow. So I wish I had that foresight beforehand to be able to plan and to think things through. But it came later.
But you're doing learning in action.
Learning
in action is so vital for couples to keep in mind that they are always growing, always learning. They don't have to be perfect at any stage. And we are asking them to open themselves to learn some new skills. And what a blessing that is. Yeah. I have a client story for you.
Please.
I'm working with a woman who has been trying for many years to fix or change her husband. What we have realized in the process is how he interprets that is criticism. Mm-hmm. And so he has now internalized in their marriage that he is not respected, he's not appreciated. He takes every suggestion that he do something as criticism. And the research from the Gottman Institute is telling us that criticism is one of the most damaging, dangerous things for relationships. And so he's now withdrawing, right? That's part of how we respond to criticism. Oh, yeah. And part of what I have explained to her is the virtue of acceptance is extraordinary. What I notice happens is when we accept someone the way they are, they actually feel the freedom to step into making changes.
Right.
As long as we are criticizing someone and they go on the defensive, there is no way that they are going to have any interest in changing. It seems a little backwards, but it makes such a difference when we honor and accept someone the way that they are, and still encourage and support and accompany them in changing if they choose to.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that story. What I've seen over the last decade is that once we are able to let go and to grow, the environment around us also shifts. And that growth happens both internally and as well as the environment of the home, and the relationship shifts as well, which is a beautiful. Actually, your story illustrates that in a very beautiful way. One thing that I wanted to explore with you as well, Susanne, is the notion of culture and spirituality, and how that has shaped your understanding of relationships. And I've found that in the discourse, when people talk about relationships, those things are not always necessarily considered or connected. And so whether you want to talk about culture or spirituality, anything that you would like to share that you feel has influenced your understanding and your approach to relationship education.
That's two combined deep topics. Well, let me start with spirituality, because I think I was going to say more important, but it I think connects to the communication in a really vital way. With spirituality, couples can seek inspiration towards whatever it is that they're struggling with. They recognize each other as having a soul or a spirit that is not necessarily visible to each other, but it's part of what builds connection between them. And everyone manifests spirituality in different ways. Some couples may choose to pray together, or actually individually or together, and that influences them. For some couples, that doesn't work at all. Some people may go to a worship service. Some people may simply enjoy the awe-inspiring part of being out in nature. People connect with the feeling of spirit in lots of different ways. But when a couple tunes in to honoring the spirit of each other and tuning into spiritual inspiration, they are more likely to come up with ideas and solutions that they would never have dreamt of otherwise. I often ask couples to put a bowl between them and to visualize what they're sharing with each other going into that bowl. And then tuning into what spiritual inspiration influences what they're both sharing and what's mixing together. And it's the combination of all of it that arises new things, that helps them to see new perspectives, that helps them to see each other's perspectives perhaps for the first time. A couple that I was working with came to me because they had different perspectives on an issue, and they absolutely could not agree. They could not see each other's perspectives at all. And I had them take half a step back and start to put their perspectives out in the middle. And then, of course, added my own coaching. And as they started to see the influence of their perspectives mixing together, and started to have enough ego detachment from what they had said to be able to see spiritual influence over what it is that they were sharing. All of a sudden, they were listening to each other. They could hear and see the perspective of each other. And out of that, then arose a solution that none of us saw at the beginning. And to me, that's one of the most amazing things out of Accordia Way,
Right.
is the arising of something new, the arising of something that none of us planned ahead of time. In fact, I find when someone arrives at a conversation where they're going to be discussing something difficult, if they've already decided on what the outcome should be, it totally sabotages the whole thing, because there's no room for that inspiration to arise.
That's so beautiful. This process of co-creation where ego is left at the door
it's not easy.
Is not easy, and really, truly, that is what makes the Accordia Way different than perhaps many other processes or approaches, techniques that couples perhaps have experienced in the past. What you touch on, to me, goes back to the potential of the human being, and this capacity that we have to use our rationality, to use that faculty, to use imagination, to
curiosity.
Thank you very much. But all of those things cannot really truly be tapped into if we are in this combative dynamic.
Indeed.
Or if we are forcing an outcome that has already been determined in our head. And it's easier said than done. Of course, I've come into many conversations with my wife where I was ready to tell her this is what we need to do. But for that to happen, there needs to be a space of emotional safety, right? You need to be willing to detach and to let go and to trust that this person that you're with has the capacity to also really find that space of co-creation together. And so what we're touching on really is this concept of Accordia Way that I hope that we can discuss a little bit together today for the first time in person, which is so cool. So why did you feel that it was necessary for us to go beyond traditional conflict management, which is, I think, the perspective that many people have in trying to fix the issues that they cannot come to terms with?
What most people in our field and most couples operate under is what I believe is a myth. It's an unwise assumption that conflict has to be part of the culture of a relationship, of a marriage.
Inevitable.
Right. And we see it out in the world. There is still an attitude that war has to happen, right? This is part of the culture that is around us, around the entire planet, that war is inevitable, that it will always be. Conflict has to happen between people. And I think one of the gifts of the last few decades is starting to see that we can have pockets of time where there are not big wars happening on the planet. And we are starting to see that there are times couples do not need to be at war. And I think if we shift into believing that it's possible to have a relationship without harmful conflict, if we really start to believe that in the core of our beings, then it shifts our attitude, it shifts our behaviors, it shifts into what's possible. And I think you and I are both committed to help couples see that it is possible to actually work through difficult things and come out at the other end in a place of unity, in a place of harmony, in a place of mutual decision-making that they then carry out in unity and in harmony. And it's possible to do that without conflict being part of the culture of the marriage.
Beautiful. I know when I've described the Accordia Way to people around me, they were inspired, but they were also skeptical. Is this even possible? Have you ever seen couples that don't experience this conflict? And so my question is, have you, beyond your marriage with Phil, have you seen clients, couples that are able to just be in this constant state of peace and harmony?
Yeah, when you use the term constant state of peace and harmony, that does sound a little unlikely in most families, in most relationships. There's always challenges that come up. The shift is how they respond. And yes, what I'm seeing in clients is when they begin to use these tools, they get to a good place faster.
Right.
They get to a place where they don't want to argue, they don't want to fight. One of the things that we tend to do as human beings that makes no sense, except we all seem to do it, is when we try and address an issue. So the issue might be, all right, we've got conflict in the marriage. We keep trying to do the same thing over and over, thinking that it will make a difference. And when it doesn't make a difference, we do more of it. And then we do more of it. And the conflict instead then gets worse. So what we're asking couples to do is intervene, right, to stop this pattern that's actually not bringing fruitful outcomes, and to do it in some new ways.
Right.
And what's exciting for you and I both is helping people see some of these new ways to be better friends, right? To be better partners together, which then has an influence on the family, right? They are co-parenting rather than fighting with each other about how to parent the kids. And when the children see the conflict level go down between the couple, their behaviors change miraculously.
Right. That process that you described about linked to how couples choose to approach challenges, difficult situations, or potential areas where they don't seem to agree initially is what I'm most excited about in really bringing this new understanding to as many people all over the world, and practical tools to be able to learn to do that, because it's not necessarily something that every couple will be able to implement right away. But I'm convinced that every couple has the potential to be able to learn to do this and to overcome even the most complex of challenges in a way that is harmonious and in a way that strengthens love, friendship, commitment to each other. And again, I've experienced this myself, right? So in my marriage, there are still moments where Nina and I don't necessarily agree. But the way by which we are now able to communicate with each other, to accept each other's point of view as valid, and to learn to come to a solution that we both can fully embrace together has completely changed my marriage. It really has. And it's not that we are different or that we somehow are not complicated human beings. It's truly that we have been able slowly over time to learn how to approach this in a way that is healthier than everything that we had experienced before. And so this learning about Accordia Way for me was a very organic process that happened even without me knowing that I was learning to do this about 8 years ago. And that became, I want to say, a skill that we have sharpened over time. I wanted to know, when did this notion of Accordia Way, when did you When did that first come onto your radar, or how did it begin for you?
I want to say a note of encouragement for couples before I totally respond to your question.
Thank you.
This is not an easy process to learn. However, as you learn each piece of it, things get better. That's part of what's wonderful about it. As you learn each step of the way, as you just described, over a period of a few years, you got better and better and better and better at it. And we want couples to feel encouraged to step on the learning path, knowing that there'll be some rocks, right? They may take a step or two backwards. It may be difficult at times, but there's also going to be stretches when the walk and the process get so much better that it encourages them to keep on going.
So what's becoming clear to me is that we both, in our own individual personal lives and journeys as coaches, have been learning about some different aspects of Accordia Way, or a process for individuals and couples to really be able to deal with challenges harmoniously. And so why did this brand new concept of Accordia Way come about? Or how did we even come up with this name, Accordia Way? Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
We wanted a name that had unity as part of the meaning. So accord is bringing people together in harmony, bringing people together in seeing a common perspective. And so it's at the root then of Accordia. We added way at the end of it to indicate to couples that it's a process. Right? This is not a look at this for 5 minutes and try this for 5 minutes and you're excellent at it. This is something that's a process in your relationship or in your marriage. And so way means that we're guiding them, we're accompanying them in the process. We are part of helping them to see new ways of approaching building understanding and coming to excellent decisions in their relationship or marriage and coming to accord.
Yes, beautiful. In a world where people are drawn to quick fixes and to easy solutions, we're offering something different, but something that has the potential to be truly transformational and which will enable couples, their children, families, even communities to experience a level of unity that is not so common actually in the world at large today. And that's part of what drew me to your work and to your philosophy as a coach. And I'm so grateful that our paths crossed. Yes. Because there was a level of integrity and coherence, for a lack of a better word, to your approach to helping couples that I was really yearning for, going beyond simply helping couples avoid a separation or a divorce, but truly think about every element of their lives in a way that is integrated, is something that is so beautiful. And also, I loved how your work was grounded in both scientific research, but also timeless spiritual principles. And that's why I was so excited when I had the opportunity to facilitate one of your courses and to learn with you, to accompany couples. And so I just wanted to share that is one of the elements that drew me to your work and to your philosophy. And I hope that on this journey, our skill set will be complementary and that we are truly going to be able to help many people.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you used the word transformation. So let's look at it for just a moment, because it has been pivotal in my work. And when we think about transformation in the long term, the bigger picture, which is where we hope people will get to with Accordia Way, we think about a tree, right? It starts as a seed. And then gets nurtured with water, with sunlight, and so on, until it grows and becomes something that is very, very solid and very big. And it takes time, right? It happens over a period of time. But we also can look at things like flowers. You can plant a seed for a flower, and that seed transforms very fast and becomes beautiful and fragrant very, very quickly. And so we have different processes and different timelines for different types of transformation. A couple can shift how they are interacting at the very beginning with Accordia Way by doing small, simple things. And when they do those small, simple things, transformation begins. And then it's a whole series of small transformations that ends up resulting in the bigger transformation. So as we have couples start to use words that are respectful, we start to train them to use words that are positive, that are appreciative of their partner. Just sometimes a few simple changes in how they're interacting with each other make all the difference.
100%.
And so then something starts to bloom. Right? Something starts to change. And so we want them to know that transformation is possible from the very, very first beginning.
I love it. I was talking to a client yesterday who was sharing with me that their childhood traumas, the toxicity that they experienced in their home, and their personality, their cultural background, leads them to communicate in a certain way that they now, with their spouse, that they now recognize is unhealthy and is affecting the children. And so my question to you is, okay, let someone that has these deep ingrained ways of communicating, perhaps in tone, language, would you say that Accordia Way is a process that could work for such an individual? Is this something that anybody, any couple, could benefit from and experience this transformation that you're describing?
Yes, and part of what you described is the couple is made up of two individuals. So each of us brings our history, our traumas potentially, our experiences to the table.
Right.
And so part of what makes Accordia Way successful is each of us also being responsible for our own personal transformation and our own personal growth. It is healing for us to work on our own selves, possibly with a professional. It's also healing for the couple to work together in Accordia Way,
right,
because we support each other's well-being. If we start to shift into being compassionately concerned about our partner's well-being, and also compassionately concerned about our own well-being, that blend together contributes to Accordia Way going much more smoothly. That where arguments and difficulties happen between a couple is when something from my past might trigger something in his past, and we are coming from a place where we're not understanding each other, and it's a sign that one of us might need to go away for a little bit and do some personal reflection and some healing, and come back to the table. which actually reminds me there's something very important about Accordia Way that makes sense for us to talk about. And that is how our perhaps introvert and extrovert personalities influence and affect the process. What I'm noticing with couples is where one is an extrovert, and this is not about social skills, this is about their energy and how they process things. Where someone is an extrovert, they may need to or want to talk a lot in the process of building understanding. And they need to understand that if they have a partner who's an introvert, that person may need reflection time. They may need to pause from time to time to process what it is that's being said. Sometimes they may need to even ask for a pause break to go away and reflect for a little while and then come back.
Sure.
And I see where couples try and force each other to do differently than their natural inclination for managing their own energy and their own process. It tends to lead to difficulties, and where they respect that they each have different needs in the process, it goes much more smoothly.
Beautiful. Thank you for giving us that very practical example that I think many people will relate to. I wanted to end by thinking a little bit about, looking ahead, the vision that we have for Accordia Way, this new project that we're embarking in, and the purpose, and what impact we hope that Accordia Way will have globally. And so I can share a little bit about my hopes and aspirations, but I would love to also hear from you. For me, it's closely tied to purpose, to my purpose as an individual, but also my understanding that we are all interconnected, and that if anything, beyond being a good parent, a good spouse, and a good friend, I hope to contribute to making the world a better place. And relationships are the foundation of society. Marriage is the foundation of society. And when I look at the world around me, my friends, the discourse on social media, what people are saying about marriage and relationships, something doesn't feel right. And if we are able to provide tools, different ways of approaching how couples interact, how couples come to decisions, joint decisions that are co-created in an emotional safe space that both parties can kind of get behind and see through together, I believe that even if it's very humbly, we will, beyond helping a couple be strong, we will impact the world. And humble little contribution towards making relationships, interpersonal relationships, better, more harmonious, more respectful, more loving, communicating with more kindness. And my hope is that as more and more couples learn about this process and implement it and share their learning with others, that many families will be strengthened and communities will be strengthened around the world, that will enable more children to grow up in loving, healthy environments as a result of that. So that is an ambitious, perhaps aspiration that I have for Accordia Way, but I know that it will help many, many couples and families. And I believe that it can also have small ripple effects that will make the world a better place. What about you? What are some of your hopes, vision for Accordia Way?
One of the lovely things that you touched on was that people are resistant often these days to marriage. So why? One of the key reasons people are resistant to marriage is this whole culture of arguing and fighting, that they don't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
as we provide them with an alternative that is not only possible, but actually transformative,
Sure.
then people will be drawn more to feel like they can be successful in marriage. And as they are successful in marriage, it then contributes that as a foundation for families, which then, as you said, contributes to the foundation for healthy communities and also the one human family that comes out of us starting with this small nuclear family.
Mm.
I think for me as well, as I look at the possibility of Accordia Way, I see that it provides hope, that it provides skills, that it provides the opportunity for people to actually step into marriages that contribute to their well-being and then contribute to the larger well-being of families and communities. As we do that, the ripple effect, you used that term, right? The ripple effect, it affects everyone around them. Yep. Because the families interact with the schools, the families interact with their employers. Each individual, if they are happier and healthier and making good decisions together, interact with nonprofits, with everyone in the community in new ways. And the influence of that then starts to create a culture. That's what we're about, right? Is a culture where marriages are healthy, where families are healthy, where people are interacting with each other in harmony in much better ways than they have been in the past. And so this is a pivot, right? This is a shift for people to step into doing things differently.
I'm so excited to be embarking on this journey with you. I have no doubt that we will help a lot of people and that in turn we will grow and that we will learn a lot from the practical steps that couples take in bringing more joy, more harmony into their homes and into their lives. And again, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I wanted to thank you for this opportunity, and I cannot wait to see what is to come.
I'm so excited about our collaboration. We bring different skills, different experiences, different backgrounds that are very rich into the mix. And I think that positions us well to serve people. And I'm excited to be in partnership with you on this project.
Thank you very much, Susanne, and see you soon.